In today's exciting interview, I'd like to give a big, quick shout out to Books to Life Marketing, the team that's making it all possible. They specialize in helping authors bring their stories to life through expert publishing, marketing, and media exposure. They are behind some of the most inspiring author journeys we've seen. If you're an author looking to elevate your books, Books to Life Marketing is the partner you want in your corner. And our guest today is John Mariotti, and John's going to talk about the Chinese conspiracy. But we're going to jump really quickly to a little bit about who John is. John, thanks again for stopping by, and we'll just kind of jump into your unbelievable background. You're the CEO and founder of the Enterprise Group. You were director on 6 corporate boards and chairman of World Kitchen, formerly president of Rubbermaid Office Products Group, a multinational company of 9 divisions spanning 4 continents. Mariotti led Huffy Bicycles for a decade to a position of industry leader as the world's largest bicycle company. I tell you what, I'm impressed. And you also United Steelworkers Union. Wow, you're a big player. I could continue to read stuff. But John, thanks for stopping by. And wow, what an entrepreneur you were, right?
Well, sometimes you just stumble into one job after another, and each one leads to the next thing, and that's sort of how it worked out. And until I got some more years on me than the travel factor was comfortable for, my wife convinced me to hang it up after my last board was sold in 2015, and so I've been taking it easy, and that's why I decided to resurrect and update and create a totally new edition of the Chinese conspiracy, because I've been tracking this story for 20 years and seeing it unfold, and it's unbelievable what's happened and what's happening.
Well, you know what's happening firsthand because of being in the corporate world. So tell a little bit more of your background, and then we're going to get right into the questions.
Small town boy, trained as an engineer. Didn't do engineering for very long because they found out I could string 3 words together in a sentence and talk about it. And so they made me a boss and a supervisor. And I ran everything. And at first I was in R&D at 25 years old, and we did world-class things when integrated circuits were just starting back in the dark ages, 1966. And then as I got onto that, I moved to a small manufacturing company, which we grew it by 600% in 12 years. And Huffy found me to run a new startup division in Oklahoma. And the bad news was the division didn't make it because of the recession in 82 and 83, but I did. I ended up running the combination of 3 divisions. And then after I did that for 10 years, Rubbermaid had been trying to recruit me for ages. And so finally I had a difference of opinion on Huffy about worldwide growth. And I said, okay, Rubbermaid, recruit. So they did, and I went there for 2 years. And I discovered they had gone from America's most admired company to America's least desired company because they had worn out their welcome. So after that, my wife and I looked at each other, let's hang it up. So I started doing consulting work, and I created the Enterprise Group. And they're time-shared executive advisors. This is something you could really relate to. Nobody can hire a second COO or CEO when they promote the accounting guy, the operations guy, whatever, but they don't know how to run a whole business. I mean, running one function is like juggling 3 balls. Running a whole business like juggling 8 balls, and they'll break if they hit the floor. And so what happens is I end up doing that for companies, all you'd recognize, Dirt Devil, Scott's, there's a whole list of them. I could give you a title list. I give you a whole bunch of companies that I did help them as an advisor. They call it consultant, but it wasn't. I wasn't quite a consultant, because consultants come in and tell you how to fix it. I come in and teach them how to fix it.
Right. You show that coaching, consultancy, and wear those different hats. And it's so needed in so many ways. And I'm learning more and more how many companies just don't follow the book of how you run a business.
Try this on for size in your life and your career, because I've read enough about you that I think you. A psychologist once asked me, pick 3 words to describe yourself. Only 3, no phrases, no commas. Visionary, coach, winner.
Wow.
Okay. All you got to do is find the right players. I learned that in Little League Baseball, and you can become a really spectacular coach.
It's having the right team in place, and that's one of the biggest challenges. So let's talk about your book now. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, over that many, many years of a career, you can imagine I saw lots of plants closing in America and the work going to China. And I was fighting for Huffy to keep it from going to China, but I failed because after I left in 3 years, it failed. They tried bankruptcy, and they went to China. But the fact was, I never got over seeing what happened to those companies and wondering how that happened. And because I had a background in electronics, I was always an early adopter of technology. So I discovered what was capable. And back about the time of 9/11, worm viruses came into being. Most people don't even know what that is. But a worm is a self-perpetuating virus that once you get it in your computer, it's almost impossible to get it out of your computer because it reinstalls himself every time you boot your computer. I started reading about this stuff and learning about it. Meanwhile, I'm running companies. And so I didn't have a chance to go back to the book and do anything with it. So I just piled all that stuff in my brain. And one of these days, I'm going to tell the whole story. I discovered that there was a secret invasion going on into our information technology systems. And unfortunately, Microsoft was an accomplice to them, unwilling, because Microsoft had such pervasive work. They had so many people that used their computer. If you got a worm in a Microsoft computer, it went everywhere, billions. So after I studied all this stuff, I said, Y2K came along. They let everybody inside their computers to fix Y2K, but a non-event. Nothing happened. But those people all got backdoors in their computers. Every computer programmer that worked on Y2K ended up leaving a backdoor. Add those three things together. You have plants closing, the Chinese trying to take over America, which they're still doing, technology running wild, rapid, unbelievably, and 20 billion networked devices in the world and counting, all using some of the same network. Best example is United Healthcare, the biggest healthcare company in the world, in America anyway. And I knew one of the guys was one of their consultants for a while. They just had a hack that got at 190 million names. That's 60%, 70% of the United States population. How do they do it? They got into their computer room and were able to sit there for a week before they got noticed.
Oh my goodness.
Now, so I wrote The Chinese Conspiracy originally when there was a guy named Richard Clark who used to be the systems guy for the Obama and before that the Bush administration. And he wrote a book called Cyber War back in 2010. Brilliant, okay. Terrific book. And he foretold this all happening, but nobody paying attention to him. The only reason he wrote the book was he quit the government because nobody would listen to him. He wrote the book. They still didn't listen to him. So I decided to write a fictional novel instead of a factual book and make it an entertaining read about how disruption screws up people's lives, their towns, their economy, and it goes unnoticed until it gets so big that it can't be fixed.
This sounds like you can relate completely to today, and people have no idea to the level we're about to be at. I think it's 17 times stronger than when you wrote the book.
Oh, it's 17 times a billion. The line goes off the chart.
Yeah.
And what I try to get people to do is the book is not a techie book. I put a glossary of terms. So when I talk in the book about technology, like a botnet or a malware or whatever, there's a little glossary in there. Somebody can look it up and see it. But I wrote a story. It was a story about a small town in West Virginia, and they couldn't figure out why everything wouldn't work in the evening, late at night. Well, what happened was that was where the Chinese were piloting. They had run a factory out of business. The factory had been a coal mining company. They got a cave, an elevator to the top of the 2,500-foot mountain where they put all their transmission towers out of sight, satellite dishes and everything. And they set a goal to shut everything down. The tagline on the top of my book says, what happens when nothing works? Just imagine that if they had successfully shut every electronic communications infrastructure thing down at the same time. And guess what? None of the technology that I talk about in the book was made up. None. The only thing that I had to make up that never really came to pass was somebody figured out how to knock out communications for all of Washington, D.C. So they had to do was install some new street light bulbs in all around the Beltway. But they were illegal. So you had to get them. So without giving away something that happened in the book.
No, we're definitely not going to give away, but I think this relates so well to the evolution of AI and how AI, we need to be so competitive in like almost a war, like nuclear arms war between the Soviet Union and us back in the Cold War days. Because if we do not keep up with technology AI could just knock us off the grid completely. if China beats us.
Yeah, the first thing I put up online on YouTube was a trailer in the trailer I talk about this isn't a war, this is an invasion. And then in several things that I've written and said later, it's not a battle of bullets and bombs because they don't want to destroy the infrastructure. They don't want to do what's happening in Ukraine. They want to have, it's a battle of wits and words and computer code. And it's hidden until they can take control. And my bad guys in the book are Chinese dissidents, and they have big aspirations. As you know, you may know, Xi is not very popular in China right now. The leader of China is not popular. But that's not unusual for China, because anybody that's in there for very long either becomes an icon or they throw them out. What's happening is these guys are even trying to overthrow China and the United States, both. They want to knock them both down because they can use the same technology. Just imagine going home and unplugging everything electronic that you use, everything. No radio, no TV, no internet, no phones, no stuff. How about then global positioning system, which the military uses to talk to their troops on the field? Yeah. Yes. Satellite communication? Yeah. They're all controlled by computers and data. All. And the oldest technology of all, amazingly, with just a big art, distributed denial of service, DDoS. It's what the guys were doing to shut things down 20 years ago. They'd put a bug in there and screw the system up, and then you have to reboot the system. So what happens? The system goes down for 4 hours while you reboot. While you're rebooting, they send you a new bug. The novel is how this affects the lives of a young man. I'd say he's young to me, he's in his 40s, and his lady friend, and he comes back from on the road to see his hometown going to hell and falling apart. And the girl that he always wanted, by the way, he gets her now at the chance because she married the drunken bum football player and he stayed a drunken bum. So she divorced him. And there's a love story mixed in here. There's a story of redemption for the young guy coming home to try and save his hometown. There's a story of how good guys in small groups can fight big forces. And if you want to know where that story all came from, have you watched Western movies for a long time?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Every storyline is the same way. The bad guys, the good guys. The bad guys want to ruin the town, and the townsfolk are outraged. And here we are in 2025. And in the book, I wrote things. Just imagine this phrase. What happens when a botnet meets AI? A botnet is a network of bots that can invade all over. What happens when it meets AI? I don't want to think about
it. And the thing is that, what do you think? You think a cyber attack by China, by Russia, it's going to happen with somebody. That's why we got to continue to work on our cyber terrorism ability, right? It's the no-brainer that that cybersecurity and how all these updates are happening with Apple every second, and we're seeing so many software updates every week. It's because of the amount of hacking going on.
Oh, unbelievable. And China has huge universities that do nothing but teach young people hacking. You probably knew about that.
But they're teaching them AI too. And this is where people need to get knocked and snot, quit ignoring AI. You're not going to survive without learning AI.
Yeah, I mean, I backed into it just in the process of trying to launch this book, because when my publisher was trying to write press releases from scratch, I said, why don't you let me write one for you, and then we'll put it through ChatGPT a couple times.
Yeah, I'm a master on those things, and I work with about 5-6 of those large language learning models and seeing the changes. It's unreal, but you're right. What we can do, how we can do it, how you get the right keywords, everything is there for us in our fingertips now with AI. But my concern is, we'll look at the word singularity, sir. Here's the thing: we do reach singularity, if AI is as smart as us, and China did it, and then China uses it to, who cares about our citizens, and uses it to totally program to take over the entire world, and we don't keep up with the same technology, we're going to lose.
And Ray Kurzweil has been writing about this for two decades now. The singularity is near. The singularity, and what happens is people have used this approach, but not on a global basis. Anytime, like the shock and awe battle in the Middle East, don't you think our military went in and silenced all of their communications? Sure they did. but nobody has done it on such a grand scale. And the irony is, the very thing that makes it so powerful, you talk about large language models and the reach and capability of AI in the broad term. Nobody has considered the fact that all these things are networked. And everybody is terrible at keeping up patches. There was just a front page article in the Wall Street Journal about a week or two ago that they've discovered what I wrote about in the book a decade ago, that when they were installing new patches, the patches were reinstalling a new virus as soon it replaced itself. It's self-replicating, polymorphic, if they want to, those are the 10-cent words, it's self-replicating virus. And it was guess who? Microsoft.
Yeah, even if the top corporations can't keep themselves from being hacked, what of us as individuals hacked? So do you expect at one point that China does a full cyber attack on us, or you think we have enough power that it's kind of like almost like who each person could hack each other? It's not. Are you concerned based on this happening at one point?
Yes, and the reason I'm talking to you is among the people in the United States that I know about who do this sort of thing, who have the reach and have the understanding, you popped right to the top of my dance card. Because the fact of the matter is, it's inevitable that's going to happen on some scale. The only question is what I write about in my book, and I won't say how it turns out, but I write about what happens when hometown heroes have enough technical knowledge and get in the way and screw things up. It doesn't take much to screw up a massive global attack. You've seen that with rocket ships and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, behind me on the picture, there's one of my other books called Rocket Ships and Parachutes. It's a self-help book that I wrote at the end of my career, which I took my 60-year career and put 300 and some lessons together. And I couldn't figure out a title for it. And then I was watching the launch of SpaceX rockets. And I figured out, hey, there's rocket ships and parachutes. Rocket ships, they go up, work. Parachutes come down. When they don't work, they get them to land safely. But the American people are in danger of having their lifestyle taken away from them. And the reason I'm trying to get my book to sell is that it's fun to read. Everybody who reads it has a ball reading it because they can relate to it. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I can just tell you that I literally listened to the audiobook just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago when it was finished before we put it on the market, because we just introduced an audiobook because we realized the young people and the old people like to listen to audiobooks.
Yep.
So now we have paperback, ebook, audiobook. And the only thing we haven't done yet is we haven't gone pervasive on bookstores because we're still trying to figure which bookstores are going to be in business. They seem to have a rather short life cycle these days. And it's a tough business. And Amazon is sort of crushing all of them. But that's okay. That's progress, I guess.
Oh, it totally is. It is what it is. I mean, like I said, the stories out there, the more you get the opportunity to bring it out, it's genius. The topic, everything, when you think about things, John, I just, like I said, I don't know if we've laxed cybersecurity. Well, I know that cybersecurity companies have really, a lot of people have decided not to, that you're seeing the industry not as worth as much anymore. Have you noticed that too? Why it's happening, why businesses are cutting back and not using cybersecurity firms anymore?
Yeah, there's a simple thing. Doing hard things falls out of fashion after a while.
Well, I'm already seeing it in the industry, my industry in marketing, where I'm going full-fledged everything in marketing for one reason, and it's because everyone's leaving. Website developers gone, leaving. They're going to try to do something easy with AI. Anything that doesn't become easy for them and is the highest profit margin, they're out, which they think is going to work, but then these developers can't sell anymore. So you and I could create an app in 5 seconds. That's the difference in so many ways. It's about I had a conversation on one show about that. Developers are obsolete, so they'll probably become hackers, because ultimately a developer is not great at selling. And so if a developer can't sell and the creator and the entrepreneur can create it all themselves, they don't need to hire the developer anymore. So could you see them hacking? That could be, I mean, you hear these stories of software engineers going homeless. It's because of AI.
I talked about this book, Cyber War by Richard Clarke. During that era, In fact, most of the presidents, until we got to the last one or two, well, that's not count two, until Trump got in and started paying attention to it. The problem they were having is the government could not match what was needed in tech capability because the tech geniuses didn't want to work for the government. They don't pay worth a darn. It's a big political beast. They have some political functionary who's their boss. Think about it. If you're a tech genius, are you going to go to work for the government? No, you go to work in the private sector and make big bucks. And
Totally.
yeah, and so it's an insidious thing that they get very successful. It's ironic to me, and I smile all the time. Trump is a little bit like gets crazy because he goes so fast and nobody knows where he's going. I think I have a better understanding than a lot of people do of it. He plays 2 steps ahead of the board, and people are always trying to catch up with him. But the fact is, he's bringing some of these tech people back into the fray on behalf of the government. Now, can he keep them there? Well, that'll be the question. Politics is an ugly business, as we both know. But the point is, I tried to write this book. I don't think people like to write a whole book about technology. Nobody wants to read one like that.
No.
They want to have 2 pages. It's installed, it works. If it doesn't have page 2, then go back to page 1 and reinstall it and try it again.
So you think that a lot of people that were doing cybersecurity really weren't doing much work and they were billing for it, and that's why we're seeing this cut back? Because AI, you can tell in seconds if they're really working and on the hacks or anything, because we can find out the breakdown and AI would figure it out for us.
It became career du jour. Most of the schools, I happen to advise some young people now and then, either through the University of Tennessee or through other people around here. And I advised a young woman who was brilliant, who was making a career change. And she read the tea leaves, and she was going to make the career change into, hopefully, cybersecurity. And but it turns out they're going to teach her in 6 weeks how to be a cybersecurity expert.
No. They can't even teach people how to even program AI in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
What has happened, John, I think both of us are teachers. We never thought that our skill set of asking questions would finally come back to work for us, right? Because of the evolution of AI.
Yeah.
We could just ask questions and no one knows how to prompt.
Yeah, that's right. The way you write the prompt determines everything. And in fact, the problem is the latest version of ChatGPT, I think it's 0.5 or something. They did some things with that were really spooky. In fact, there was a pretty big article in some publication called "The Monster of the New ChatGPT," because it's coming up with a totally rational thing. That's the dangerous part of AI. For years ago, they used to make these electronic things that were called black boxes. And the people didn't want people to know what was in them.
Right.
Well, the trouble is then when something went wrong with the back box, the only one who knew how to fix it was one person usually. And if he sold the company, well, no, in AI, ask anybody, they don't know what's happening. When it goes into these large language models and starts processing and reaching out to billions, not millions, and billions may not be enough, but billions of data points, you don't know what went on in the black box. Now,
it's scary because I've seen it hallucinate. I've seen the specific things, and if you played around with Grok's even crazier with their large language model, and Claude, and there's just so many. I think it's gonna. I don't know where AI is gonna go, but cybersecurity. There is no protecting your data anymore. Your data is dead. It's gone. It cannot be protected anymore. I'm already hearing we literally our agency could get any business lead ever, any lead in business, no problem. Well, I asked my client, how can we still target B2C then if I can get every B2B lead I want? He says basically see if you can market them B2C. I said, oh, never thought of that. So then that brings it. So as long as you use a business email where you're sending to their business email, you can target them consumer stuff. It was interesting to hear about that.
I'm not going to tell you how my book turns out, but the part of the solution is in what you just described. It's as I learned something as I got older and went to school and then learned that all the models they teach in school are from theoretical models where nothing, the ropes don't break and the gears don't Cool. Well, in the real world, you have to go back to basics. So what's happening is we're going to be driven back to basics, and how my heroes. I just have one or two heroes, but the point is they find the data center, and I won't go any further than that.
No, you can't give away. You got to check it out. Where's the best place people can find the book? I knew this would be a fascinating conversation, John, but where can everyone find the book?
It's online everywhere. It's not. It's only distributed by bookstores who chose to buy and stock some, which they don't much anymore because Amazon pretty much killed them all. Amazon's got it. Barnes and Noble has got it. All the online bookstores everywhere. In fact, everywhere in the world, as far as I know, where I've been checking, because Books to Life, who worked on our thing together, is an English company, and they did the audio. The audiobook is terrific. I loved it. I love listening to my own book. But and I have a website. I have the ChineseConspiracy.com, but I'm trying to overhaul it. So right now it's got a different website on it, because the last iteration of the website has to go in next week. I'm a little bit early with you, but I wanted to talk to you because I saw some of your programs. I listened. I don't just come on these interviews. I pay attention. I listen to what you were talking about, and I could see that I could have a discussion with you on any level I wanted to. So I wrote a fictional novel, but so much of it is based on fact that the best quote I have, there's a guy named Bo Dietl, who's the formerly decorated New York City cop. And 10 years ago, he read one of the early editions of it. He said, "This is so scarily realistic. I don't know if I want to know about it." And it's right.
That's fantastic.
Well, but if you make people aware of it and you make it fashionable, the reason I want to sell the book is it's a fun book to read. It's a good story. It's about real people, the troubles they get into, what Chinese conspirators did to their town, what they did to what they're trying to do to her. Think about the sentence: what happens when nothing works? My tagline for you is, don't try and think about it late at night when you're going to sleep, because you know too much.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, we all know that data is big, big. Everyone's listening to us all the time. I appreciate it, John. Thanks again for stopping by.
The Chinese Conspiracy, on sale online everywhere.
All right. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show.